projects, development projects, are channeled through the same framework of NGCDF, just like the way KERA has been fashioned. We hope that other government entities can also fashion their projects to the various constituencies so that each and every constituency gets a pie of any projects or any development projects that are going to be done in the constituencies. I would wish to also mention about a specific school in my constituency that went on strike. We hope that that will be sorted out. Finally, on the issue of CBC, we want to allow
member for Keses.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me take this opportunity, Madam Speaker, to also join my colleague members to congratulate you and Mr. Speaker for having been given an opportunity to serve this honorable House. To the members of Keses constituency, the electorates who saw an opportunity to give me this chance to sit in this House and prosecute matters that touches on their lives and transforming their livelihoods. I want to congratulate them, and I want to believe that all of us know when you mention Keses, of course, something comes to your mind. And it wasn't that simple, but I want to thank God that I made it to this House. To the speech of the President, I want to say this is one of the speech ever that has been made in the shortest time that carries the weight of the matters that touches on the Kenyans. And on a quote of what the President says, that I have news and not very good news. Indeed, it was a speech that was made with an openness, without fear, and without hiding on any issues that touches on the Kenyan lives. It is true, and it's a matter of fact that we must admit, even in this House, that the lives of Kenyans are difficult now. The cost of living is on the higher side. The debts that have soiled our Kenyan economy is a reality. And that in this speech, it brings all our minds together to appreciate that we have a big role in this House to support the government in transforming our economic lives so that we are able to have a Kenyan that we dream to have. A Kenyans that Kenyans at the lower base shall enjoy their Kenyanship or their citizenship in this country. Madam Speaker, on the aspect of healthcare, I want to confirm to this House that we really have, and we are facing a lot of challenges on the aspect that our Kenyans are going through now. Over the weekend, I managed to attend 2 families that are bereaved for losing their loved ones because of the challenges of cancer that is now ravaging all our site or our countryside. It is indeed an issue that we need to look at in this House, whether we need to prosecute laws that are going to enable the NHIF specifically to be able to take care of all these illness, especially the terminally illness that whenever it affects our families, one, at the end of it, it takes the lives of our loved ones, and beside that one, it brings down our economic ability. Number 2 is on the enabling of the bottom-up economic model that the President so much has been preaching out through his campaigns, the aspect of education. I come from a county that we entirely depend on education, agriculture, and of course, in education, the higher education. For the last few months, we remember there have been a lot of cases that our universities are aging and collapsing. More universities that I'm privileged to be in my constituency, as it is right now, requires a serious attention of the national government in an aspect of revolutionizing it up, reorganizing it up, so that it retains its glory by producing the human capital we require and by sustaining the supply of the working force in this nation. If at all, we are going to focus on improving our working environment and enabling our youth to be able to receive jobs. On the aspect of Asola Fund, I was able to see in the paragraph 28. I want to appreciate the President for recognizing that we have a working nation. Kenyans who are very resilient. The challenges they are facing at the moment is access to cheap capital, access to funding that can fund their ideas, their innovation. This is something, again, we need to boil together as a house of making laws and support the President. And I want to believe that the minister that is coming in, Honorable Chelugui, will consider, because I've seen paragraph 28, that the technology will be utilized to ensure this fund is managed. I want to consider, or I want to believe, that is going to consider giving an opportunity to the youth of this nation, those who can be able to innovate this technology, as an example of appreciating the bottom-up economic model. Lastly, because I've seen my time has gone, Mr. Speaker, I want to appreciate the President for nominating the just members of Parliament who have sat in this House to the Cabinet. These are the people who resonate well with the ground, people who understand where the real issues are. I want to congratulate them and ask them now, time on their side, to prove that indeed we can articulate and prosecute matters that touch the lives of Kenyans. Thank you so much, and may God bless you.
Member for Karachuonyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm happy that I've got the opportunity. I've really waited, but I think when I spoke with the Speaker himself, he told me to just wait, and I've waited. First, I congratulate you, Madam Speaker, for having been elected to your position, and I also congratulate the Speaker himself. Now, let me take this opportunity to thank my constituents, the Karachuonyo people, for having elected me the second time to the 13th Parliament. Madam Speaker, I want to refer to the President's speech. In particularly, I want to mention something about the cost of living. Now, when he removed the subsidy on fuel, it really meant that the cost of living had to go up. And as we speak, the cost of living has gone up many times, and the fuel is reaching a level of unaffordability. I think this policy of subsidy for production rather than consumption may not work well for Kenyans. Because if you take, for example, the fuel is imported. The production level or the production part is done in a country outside Kenya. And therefore, the policy of subsidizing productivity cannot apply, because we cannot afford to give subsidy to a country outside ours. So I think this is something that should be considered, because otherwise, when fuel price goes up, it will give rise to prices of almost every commodity. Now, the one thing I think the President ought to have mentioned something on, but he very much avoided it, is corruption. Much of our money goes there. And when the President says that he wants to reduce the budget from 3.3 trillion by 0.3 trillion, I think he was trying to make ends meet. But what I want to suggest is that reduction of budget is not helping anything, because it depends on what the budget was doing. If you reduce it by 300 billion, this 300 billion was supposed to do something for Kenyans. How is he going to fund that deficit? This is something that I think needs to be considered, otherwise we are going to have a problem. Maybe he should have gained this 300 billion by reducing corruption at a much higher figure than even the 300 billion he wants. The President visited my own county, and I thank him very much for it. Some people have criticized us, we the elected leaders, that we did not join the President during his visit. But let me say it here and now that that criticism is not justified at all, at all. We did not join the president because we did not even know that he was going to Homa Bay County. And therefore saying that we avoided being with him there is just trying to criticize us for nothing. I want this to go on record, Madam Speaker, because that's a very important thing. We don't want to be reflected negatively, even where we are not concerned. Of course, the president has a right to visit any place, anywhere, at his own will, with somebody, a politician, joining him or going alone. That is his right. So he exercised his right. Why bring us into that problem that we did not want to be with him? No, that was not right. Madam Speaker, I see my time is over. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. And I want to say that I'm happy you have given me the opportunity.
Member for Moyale.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And as everybody else is doing, may I also take my chance to congratulate you and the Speaker for your election. I also want to thank the people of Moyale, the great people of Moyale, for giving me an opportunity to serve them in this August House. Madam Speaker, I also need to thank the people of Kenya for accepting to remain cohesive, peaceful during the uncomfortable election period. Madam Speaker, as the President said, the election was intensively contested, and in that both sides had almost equal number. And there is another 8 million people who did not vote. You do not know if they had voted which side they would have voted for. However, the people of Kenya remain obedient and loyal to the rule. Even the order of the leadership in this House was disputed and somehow settled in a very not acrimonious way. Madam Speaker, there was no clear winner, and that's why there was that contest. Africans like to refer to leadership as being God-given. And as leaders, and leadership is a choice. As leaders in this House, inside and outside this House, we need to constitute humanity and try to bring the nation together. On the presidential speech, I'm happy that the President talked of universal health coverage. This is a good thing, but I'm of the opinion that we need to find out how to make NHIF cover a universal thing that every Kenyan is entitled to. If you go to our neighbors like Rwanda, they have 98% NHIF coverage. There's no reason why we cannot do it. There is also need for us to achieve that universal health coverage to restructure the health ministry. The health ministry was devolved, but that devolution has actually disadvantaged areas that were already disadvantaged. There's no reason why a doctor should not be moved from Kisumu to work in Garissa and from Garissa to Kisumu. But this business of putting people in counties actually restricts the movements of people, deployment of staff, and therefore disadvantages areas which are already disadvantaged. And it's my view that we shall revisit that health facilities at the level of level 4, level 5, level 6 should be put under the national government, and level 3 to put under the county government. Madam Speaker, people talk of the president had a short speech. It was not short. It was actually 33 minutes of oral presentation, and somebody can cover wide area. But I listened carefully for his mention on the drought, on the insecurity in the country. Many members on the floor have contributed to the issue of insecurity. Just a few days before his speech here, 11 police officers were killed in Turkana. Even this week, last week, somebody was killed, the police officer was killed. The government of Kenya should take positive action to make sure that these tribal clashes between police, clan clashes, should come to an end. Madam Speaker, to finish, drought. The life and the livelihood of people from the north matters. We need to take positive steps to make sure that our lives are protected from recurring droughts, and people should take measures to make sure that the people do not die unnecessarily from the effects of drought every season. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Murang'a County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My name is Betty Njeri Maina, and I wish first to thank Mighty God for giving me an opportunity to be elected as a member for County, Murang'a County. I also wish to thank the people of Murang'a County for electing me in an overwhelming way, being a youth and being a young lady. Madam Speaker, I wish to congratulate the Speaker for having been elected as the Speaker of this 13th Assembly, and for you, Madam Deputy Speaker, for being elected, being a female Deputy Speaker, and also being from the popular caucus of the women reps that used to be unpopular, whereby women rep used to be called flower girls. It shows that this house is coming to birth, and we're really improving, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to go straight and congratulate the President for having nominated Honorable Waris Wahome to be the Cabinet Secretary for Water, Sanitation, and Irrigation. She is from Murang'a County, and I wish to confirm to the nation that Murang'a County is a hub for beautiful and brilliant women. We are sure that her given the opportunity by this house, she will take water and sanitation matters to the next level. Madam Speaker, I wish to comment on the presidential speech. 70% of the people of Murang'a County depend on agriculture. When we discuss agriculture matters and when we unlock agriculture, we are going to unlock the potential and the economy of the people of Murang'a County. Madam Speaker, I wish to pick a few points that the President talked about reducing the cost of production when it comes to animal feed, and about reducing the cost of farm output, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I will not emphasize on issues to do with agriculture because people have commented, members have commented about it, but I wish to go straight to the Hustlers Fund. When you talk about the Hustlers Fund, Madam Speaker, I wish to appreciate the existence of other funds, including the Women Enterprise Fund, the Youth Fund, and also the Wezo Fund. People may have not felt the impact of these funds there previously, but if done, and if these funds are distributed in the right manner, our people are going to feel the positive effects of these funds. Madam Speaker, we have hustlers from this nation. We have young women in this nation who are suffering because of going to other countries looking for greener pastures, and especially our ladies who are going to do works in countries like Saudi Arabia. Madam Speaker, if we empower these people, we are going to mitigate most of these issues. Madam Speaker, if we continue empowering the hustlers, Madam Speaker, if we continue empowering the hustlers, we are going to mitigate the issues of migration, whereby our young ladies are migrating from Kenya to other nations to be misused and to be made captives. Madam Speaker, as I summarize, I would wish to go back to the issue to do with agriculture. If we work on agriculture, we are going to mitigate rural-urban migration and promote urban-rural migration. Through doing this, we are going to create employment, and we are going also to work on the issues of housing, whereby we are going to eradicate issues to do with slums. We are going to eradicate issues to do with congestion in our cities. Madam Speaker, I'm looking forward to work in this 13th Parliament, to be mentored, to be guided, and to take the people of Murang'a County to the next level. Thank you.
That was brief and concise and good. Member for Marakwet.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My name is Kipchumba, the Member of Parliament, Marakwet West. Madam Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity to make these remarks. One, I wish to thank the people of Marakwet West for electing me. Madam Speaker, I was elected under extremely exceptional circumstances. I supposedly or allegedly lost the UDA nomination, and I went back to the ballot via the independent ticket, and the people of Marakwet West elected me overwhelmingly through the independent ticket. And I want to thank them so much. I wish to thank the people of Aruru Ward, the people of Kapsowar Ward, the people of Moibon Kusero Ward, the people of Leland Ward, the people of Cherangani Chibarora Ward, and the people of Sengwer Ward for electing me to this house. Madam Speaker, I came to this house when I was very young. I came to this house in the year 1996 when I was class 4 in Kamasat Primary School. Madam Speaker, when I came at that time, I think it painted a picture, and I made sure that whenever I schooled, I told myself that one day I must be in this house, and I thank God because I got an opportunity to be in this house. Madam Speaker, insofar as the presidential address is concerned, this time round, we have an exceptional president. If you read the book of A Man of the People by Chinua Achebe, there's a character known as Chief Nanga, who was described as a man of the people. I think His Excellency the President fits that definition. He is truly a man of the people. And I believe that when he settles down to work, you shall have a president of the people, by the people, and for the people. Madam Speaker, what touched me on the President's speech was his commitment to the rule of law. For me, that is a cardinal principle that this country must be ruled upon. We must be a country that abides by the rule of law. Madam Speaker, I want to commend because the first thing he did was to appoint the judges, the 6 judges who are in abeyance by the other regime. And I think that was a hallmark of obedience to the rule of law. Madam Speaker, the President also committed that he would implement bottom-up scaling of justice. Madam Speaker, I come from a constituency where we have one court serving 4 constituencies. The court is located in Iten. In Marakwet West, we have no court. Marakwet East, we have no court. Keyo North and Keyo South, they are only served by one court in Iten. Madam Speaker, I believe that going forward, we shall have many courts at the local level. Madam Speaker, I also want to comment on an issue that the President made, that he would implore upon this House to amend the standing orders so that the CSs can appear before the floor of the House so that they can be asked questions. Madam Speaker, I am inclined to the school of thought that as per the current constitutional dispensation, the CSS may not appear before the floor of this House because the architecture of our constitution is presidential. And that will call for a relook at our constitutional architecture so that the members of the CSS can be able to appear before the floor of this House. Madam Speaker, on the issue of CDF, I think personally, without CDF, there is nothing much that the members of the National Assembly can be able to achieve. So I think since we have the goodwill of the President, it would be good if the same is entrenched in the Constitution, the same is constitutionalized, so that just like other funds, the CDF is entrenched in the Constitution. On the security matter, he never touched it, but I believe we have confidence. I have confidence that security along Kerio Valley Belt shall be dealt with accordingly by this government. Finally, Madam Speaker, I want to thank the President for appointing our CS Kipchumba Murkomen, our senator to be the CS for roads, transport, and infrastructure. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
Nominated member from Garissa, Honorable Harun.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. My name is Mulkhair Harun, and it is with great honor and responsibility that I'm able to serve in this 13th Parliament. I appreciate my party, ODM, for believing in my capacity and for allowing me to represent the interest of young people in this country. I also want to congratulate all members who are elected and nominated from different political parties and wish them well as they discharge their mandate. Madam Speaker, President William Samoei Ruto in his inaugural session of this House outlined various issues in his administration and would wish to undertake. One fundamental issue His Excellency touched that was of immediate consideration is the current drought afflicting our people in northern parts of our country. I would urge the President to work closely with the Pastoral Parliamentary Group to address the immediate needs as well as stable long-term solutions. ASAL regions make up 89% of land cover of this country. Madam Speaker, I would like to let the House know that the best lemons and watermelons come from Garissa County and northern Kenya at large. On Hustlers Fund, it is my belief that the President will actualize his pledge to the youth who I represent in this House. I urge him to ensure the fund is immediately availed to these Kenyans on an affordable interest rates to either expand or start their businesses. On GMOs, a country like Kenya isn't having food shortage because it can't produce enough. The food shortage is largely because we are not producing for subsistence use. We are producing for international market whose economic policies do not favor the producers, especially in the third world countries. Kenya does not need GMOs to tackle food security. What we need are policies and universally available food preservation methods. We lose a lot of food to wastage due to rejection by international exporters. Using the drought as a reason to allow GMOs in Kenya is wrong without ensuring all the safeguards are in place. For example, Kenya has not ratified the Nagoya Kuala Lumpur Supplementary Protocol to Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety. The protocol provides international rules and procedures in the field of liability and redress relating to living modified organisms. The protocol requires that response measures are taken in the event of damage resulting from the living modified organisms or where there is sufficient likelihood that damage will result if timely response measures are not taken. My question is then, how do we open ourselves to this biotechnology without proper protection measures in the name of food security? Instead, why don't we build dams and dispatch irrigation technology to address the food security challenge? We should invest in organic foods instead of going GMO. We have plenty of arable land that if irrigated, we can feed ourselves and export food. Interesting to note that when NEP counties are short of food, farmers in Molo are feeding fresh produce to their animals due to lack of market. GMO will have adverse effects on organic farming. My question is, has the government consulted the public? Was there any form of public participation before this decision was made? How can the government arbitrarily make such decisions while being subservient to foreign interests? The decision has regional implications. Tanzania, for example, has already braced itself for the possibility of our GMOs finding its way in its country, thus affecting the harmony of freedom between neighboring states of the East African community. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to representing the interests of young people in this House. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Member for Trans Nzoia County. Okay, member for Trans Nzoia County. Is she here? Okay, proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this chance to represent the people of Trans Nzoia. My name is Lilian Sioi, a woman MP from Trans Nzoia County, and I would like to appreciate or thank the Almighty God for granting us this chance for me to be here today. And my special thanks goes to the people of Trans Nzoia County, the men and women of Trans Nzoia County, for having elected me without looking the lines of tribal or having looked at in the lines of party, because I'm one of the persons who was elected on UDA ticket, yet we had other candidates who were also elected on other tickets. I appreciate largely the people of Trans Nzoia. Thank you so much, and I promise to serve you with diligence and fairness. I also want to congratulate you, Madam Speaker, for being elected as our Deputy Speaker. Congratulations, us as women of Trans Nzoia and women of this nation at large. We are so much proud of you, and congratulations so much. I also want to go direct to the speech of the President in the House last time when he was here. He talked about the Hustler Fund, and I want to urge this House, the only problem that we've been having a concern of this country is the access to credit. That is a problem that our country has been having, and it is important that our President thought it right to have the fund accessible to the people who cannot afford to access these other services like the banks, to have loans so that they can improve their lives. So, Madam Speaker, I want to say thank you so much to my party leader for mentoring me and having trust in me and giving me the ticket of which I had to deliver. And today I'm here representing the people of Trans Nzoia. I also want to urge the men in the House, as we deliberate on the amount that we are supposed to give to the Hustler Fund, I want to urge the men in this House that you also deliberate on the same, especially on the Affirmative Action Fund that the women have been given. That amount that we've been given is very little. Bearing in mind that the population we are representing, the men, the women, youth, and people with disability are the most vulnerable in our county, in our country, and they are also the most highly populated. I want to urge you that when we discuss on the disbursement of that amount on Hustler Fund, let's have an increment on our fund too, so that we can be able to give the women, youth, and people with disability in this country the services that will serve them right. And I know if we empower women, we will have empowered the whole community. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this chance once again.
Member for Loima.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to add my voice to this presidential or president speech debate. Madam Speaker, for records, my name is Protas Akuja, Member of Parliament for Loima constituency in Turkana County. Before I make my comments to the President's speech, Madam Speaker, allow me to take this opportunity to thank the great people of Loima constituency for recognizing my commitment to work for them and therefore giving me another chance to serve them. I therefore not take this for granted. Madam Speaker, the President's speech, according to me, was concise and elaborate. However, I'm quick to mention that I note with utmost concern that the President's speech did not address the issue of security, as mentioned by one of the members from Baringo. I know there could be some relative peace in some part of this country, but outstandingly, the external aggression Kenyans continue to face from Uganda, South Sudan, Ethiopia, to the people of Turkana County is very loud. The Kenya government has been silent on the daily killing of the Turkana pastoralists in Lokchogio, Lotere in Urum, Loyoro, Kibich, Todaj, and Todanyang. Leave alone the internal insecurity within our county interboundaries, which has been happening in form of livestock theft, or commonly known as cattle rustling. This long-standing threat has caused loss of lives to many people, destruction of property, loss of livelihoods, displacement of people, closure of public amenities or social amenities such as health centers, schools, among others. But the government has been so quiet on this particular issue. Madam Speaker, I urge the government to put to an end these barbaric and backward activities which have for a long time been commercialized, while the cartels running this show are on the loose and nobody is apprehending them. The government should deploy security forces, including the National Police Reserve, along our borders to check the runaway insecurity in these areas. There is need to have proper communication networks along these problematic borders for efficient reporting of any insecurity incidences, because some of these areas do not have Safaricom, neither telecom, and therefore atrocities are done to the people without having time to report anywhere to any government forces. Allow me also to comment on some of the projects that have stalled in my constituency, which I hope this government will fast track them. One is completion of Lodwar, Lorgum, Loyan, or Yapong Road to ease movement of people, goods, and services. Secondly is construction, opening, and operationalization of Lokriama border point to promote trade between Kenya and Uganda and to ease movement of people, goods, and services. Three, completion of Lodwar High Court that stalled or got stalled in 2015. This will help scale up justice and adjudicate cases efficiently, because since this particular court got stalled, all the cases are now referred to Kitale, which is very expensive for the government and even for people to travel to Kitale to be able to get their justice. Last and not the least, on scaling up of productivity, agriculture productivity, indeed Kenya is an agricultural country whose agricultural sector contributes to 20% of the GDP and employs about 40% of the total population and provide employment to 70% of the rural population. Therefore, scaling this productivity requires sufficient budgets that will deliberately put our farmers into farming activity to produce more.
Honorable Member, I won't allow your point of order because you should press the intervention button, which you have repeatedly not done, but instead shouted from your seat. I now call upon Member for Tana River County.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. To begin with, let me congratulate you on your election as Deputy Speaker to this 13th Parliament. It is our belief that you will preside over the business of this House with no fear or favor. I also wish to convey my heartfelt gratitude to the people of Tana River County
to have given me the mandate to be their women representative. As for those of us who've been elected from the far-flung counties, we fully understand the enormity of the responsibilities placed on our shoulders by our people who constantly brave the extreme drought, insecurity, and untold poverty. Therefore, our debut to the 13th Parliament is not on itself the change that we seek for our people, it is only an opportunity to make that change. Madam Speaker, in these regards, I wish to emphasize on the sentiment made by my colleagues, especially those who hail from the arid and semi-arid areas. In particular, Tana River County is grappling in severe drought, and it is disheartening that in this age and era, our women have to hit the road under scorching heat for tens and kilometers in search of water. Madam Speaker, in regards to in these regards, in his address to the joint sitting of this House, the President announced that the government had embarked on distribution of the relief to the drought-stricken areas. While we welcome this move, I wish to urge the relevant government institution, including the county government of Tana River, to ensure that the relief reach everyone facing the drought across the county, especially in my county, the areas of Wayu, Hirmani, Asa, Kone, and Bangal, which are really facing severe drought. Madam Speaker, the President also spoke robustly on incentivizing agricultural production through fertilizer subsidy programs. These subsidy programs will drive production to those engaging in crop farming, such as maize. I want to challenge the government to ensure that livestock farmers are also given the premium they deserve. The pastoralist significantly contributes to the GDP of this country, but end up being overlooked or even according cosmetic policy intervention. As a daughter of pastoralist, and I represent the people of Tana River in this House, I bear sacred responsibility to devise mechanism and collaboration with the government to escalate the extensive services for livestock farmers, increase purchase of livestock products such as beef, and invest in value addition of livestock products such as beef and milk within our county. The value chain will provide employment for our people and increase their thresholds. Lastly, despite being elected on KANU ticket, it is worth noting that Tana River County contributed to the victory of the President, and it is among the 39 counties that presented 25%, actually 44% of the votes. Legal threshold which win the presidency. However, during his announcement, the cabinet secretaries, none came from Tana River. I also wish to urge the President to kindly consider people of Tana River by giving us opportunities in the coming opportunities like principal secretaries, administrative secretaries, and head of parastatals. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Member for Mandera.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate you for your election as the Deputy Speaker of this August House. Madam Speaker, I wish to thank the people of the great county of Mandera who elected me overwhelmingly. Mr. Speaker, I cannot take that for granted. I thank those the few that did not vote for me as well. I assure them that I'm going to represent them well and ensure that services are delivered to them. Madam Speaker, I also wish to thank the leadership of Kenya Kwanza, who saw it fit to nominate me to the House Business Committee. Madam Speaker, as you know, the House Business Committee is a crucial committee that handles businesses that come to this House, Madam Speaker. I want to tell the members that I will ensure that businesses are prioritized and that they are on time, God willing. Madam Speaker, if I come to the President's speech, the speech was generally good, precise, and to the point, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the point that caught my eye most is the point where the President spoke about the youth, Madam Speaker. As you know, the youths are an integral part of this society, and that he's going to tap their potential and nurture them, Madam Speaker, in whichever way that they are good at, Madam Speaker. As you know, Madam Speaker, the Hustlers Fund, that is 50 billion, is meant for the hustlers, Madam Speaker. When you speak of the hustlers, here we speak of the women, the youth, the persons living with disabilities, the widowed, the orphans, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as you know, as the Women County MP of Mandera, and speaking on behalf of all women county MPs, Madam Speaker, the amount allocated for us is very little. It's not impactful. I wish to urge the President to give us some partial amount from that fund so that we serve our people well. He expressed his goodwill for the CDF, and we wish that he also considers ours, Madam Speaker. The other point that has been echoed by many of my colleagues, Madam Speaker, is the biting drought that I hope and pray that it does not get escalated into famine, Madam Speaker, is very dire. Unfortunately, the people managing, the task force managing that was formed by the Deputy President, members of Parliament have not been included, Madam Speaker. And it says that we will be appearing there on need basis. We are the people's representatives. We've been elected by the people to represent them, and this is when they need us most, Madam Speaker. And I wish and hope that the leadership will think about that. Madam Speaker, the other part is that I want to speak about is the insecurity that is ravaging the pastoral communities, Madam Speaker. We've been seeing in the news the last 3 weeks what's been happening from Baringo to Marsabit to Turkana, Madam Speaker. Militias and bandits are wreaking havoc, Mr. Speaker, killing young, promising, gallant soldiers, Madam Speaker. In my county, or in Northeastern, Madam Speaker, we have sporadic clan clashes that happen in inter-county because of border issues, because of water and pasture, Madam Speaker, inter-county conflicts, intra-county conflicts, inter-clan conflicts, and intra-clan conflicts, Madam Speaker. Those were issues that were close to our hearts and are still are close to our hearts, but the President did not speak about the insecurity issue. The only goodwill I know is that the
member for Mogotio.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to take this moment, Madam Speaker, to thank the great people of Mogotio and Almighty God for enabling me to be here. Madam Speaker, the great people of Mogotio from Kisanana Ward, Mogotio Ward, and Emening Ward have a special place in my heart, Madam Speaker, for entrusting in me this leadership mantle. Madam Speaker, on the presidential speech, Madam Speaker, the speech was short, precise, meticulous, and very practical, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, for those who are saying the speech was short, one of the greatest speeches ever delivered to mankind, Madam Speaker, was done in 1960 by J.F. Kennedy, which lasted for 13 minutes. But Madam Speaker, up to date, we still remember the content of ask not what you can do for your country, what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. Madam Speaker, the speech talked about agriculture, which I think is the main pillar which can change the economy of this country, especially for those of us who come from the rural part of the country, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, he talked about agriculture from production to manufacturing, Madam Speaker, which in return will not only create food stability, but will also create employment to our young people who are languishing in abject poverty because of lack of employment, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the President also talked about housing, which in itself is a source of employment for the young people of this nation, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it will also solve the problem faced by the urban Kenyans who lack housing and live in shanties, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the President also talked about Hustler Fund, which for me and where I'm coming from as an hustler, Madam Speaker, and a true image of what hustler is and what hustler can achieve, Madam Speaker. Hustler Fund can give potential to young people who are languishing back at home because they don't have capital to start up their business, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, if well implemented, Hustler Fund can change the million of young people who are not paying taxes because they don't have anything, Madam Speaker, to create tax base for this country, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the President was very honest in his speech that as a country, we don't have money, Madam Speaker. That the country, the coffers were emptied by the previous regime, Madam Speaker, and that we need to do something to save so that we can be able to invest, Madam Speaker. In itself, the President addressed our issues and the solutions that we should do going forward. Madam Speaker, I want to donate my time, Madam Speaker, to my brother Gideon, who I think has been waiting for a long time to say something, because people back at home are waiting for his speech in hotels and kiosks to listen to their new MP. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and God bless you.
Member for Keyo South, then, that you've been donated for time.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, my brother Kiborek. Madam Speaker, before I give my speech, I'm a bit disappointed. I came to this house at 1:15 p.m. No, allow me to talk. Allow me to talk. Yeah. Madam Speaker, I speak for many new members of parliament in this house who came here very early. Not today alone. Last week, 4 days, we've been waiting for this time to be given. And it's unfair in all measure. We don't ask for any favor. All we are saying is be fair to us, the new members. I am afraid if this is going to be the order of business in this house, I'll be in trouble with the standing orders, because I will ask you for fair share of our time in this house. Madam Speaker, all that said, congratulations for your selection as the Deputy Speaker.
Can I allow? Good for you. You can have 2 minutes.
Okay. I know that was Kiborek's time, but thank you for giving me my time. Madam Speaker, as I was saying, thank you for this time, and I congratulate you for your election as the Deputy Speaker, and also the Speaker for being elected as the Deputy Speaker. I use this opportunity to thank the people of Keyo South for electing me to be their Member of Parliament. I say thank you to all the wards and the people who campaigned for me. I say thank you to the people of Kaptarako Ward, the people of Chepkorio, the people of Soy North, the people of Soy South, the people of Metkei, and the people of Kabiamit Ward. I also say thank you to everybody who contributed in one way or the other for me to be elected as Member of Parliament. I also thank the President for nominating Wasiri Kipchumba Murkomen, who has been a father figure for us in Elgeyo Marakwet, for his nomination to the Cabinet as the Minister for Roads and Infrastructure. I wish him well, and Murkomen has led the way for us in Elgeyo Marakwet County. We are all young, Murkomen being the oldest at 42, 41 years. All the MPs from the women rep are young thugs, including the governor, His Excellency Wesley, who is around 35 years. We say thank you to Murkomen for leading the way. On the President's speech, I thank the President for his commitment and determination to lead this country in the right direction. The President promised a paradigm shift, a shift from the normal way of doing things, a shift from the politics of tribalism to the politics of inclusivity and the politics of issues, a shift from the politics of dynasties to politics of hustlers, a shift from an economic model of trickle-down to an economic model of bottom-up, a shift from subsidizing consumption to subsidizing production, a shift from an economy that relies on debt, external debt, to an economy that relies on savings. And finally, a shift from people being put on CRB, blacklisted on CRB, to people accessing credit. Finally, Madam Speaker, let me address the people of Keyo South. I promised you, the people of Keyo South, that I will work on the opening of Lospa. I will work on the construction of Kimorer Dam, which was stopped by the previous regime. I will work on the issue of Shamba system, which allows you to plant your maize in the forest at the same time you conserve the forest. And I will speak for your road construction in the constituency. Thank you, Madam Speaker. God bless Kenya. Thank you.
Member for Thika Town.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't know whether I'll be audible enough. I was under the weather over the weekend, but something very interesting took place. My Arsenal team won the Liverpool match. At least that kept me going. Madam Speaker, may I take this opportunity to congratulate you, all the leadership of this House, for making it to the 13th Parliament. Madam Speaker, I also want to thank the people of Thika Town constituency for giving me an opportunity to represent them in this Parliament. And also, Madam Speaker, I also want to thank everybody over there, those who prayed for us, those who prayed for Kenya Kwanza, Team Mama, team that went and worked hard every day to make sure that we won. I want to thank them very much because they made sure that we won in every polling center in our constituency. Madam Speaker, I also would want to thank all generals from Kiambu, led by our majority leader, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, for we crisscrossed the entire of Kiambu County and the entire country in search of votes, and truly, God answered our prayers. That is why we are here today. Madam Speaker, as we are aware, it was not an easy thing. We campaigned very hard. The yellow fever took over. The symptoms were detected across the entire country. 2 weeks to August 8th, the entire country, the momentum was unstoppable. It was like a Porsche with no brakes. Kenya Kwanza was reading in terms of all polls, not the fake polls from the establishment, but from the real polls we were reading all over. Madam Speaker, we swept the entire country in terms of voter mobilization and the readiness to vote. And that's how we found ourselves at the majority at the national level, in both houses and at the county level. Madam Speaker, the battle was not easy, but we endured. We made sure that, having God on our side, we never agreed to surrender or to be intimidated. We knew all the setbacks were going to be a setup for our blessings. And that is how we made it. Because our God took it over and made sure that we were going to be a living testimony. Madam Speaker, if anybody ever asks you whether you have ever witnessed a miracle, I would want to say today, tell them to look at Kenya Kwanza, because us, we are living testimony of what God can do when He's on your side. Having said that, Madam Speaker, I want now to add towards the contribution on Mr. President's speech, the one he did it on the day we opened our parliament. Madam Speaker, our dear President is one kind of a man, a very hardworking, and given a chance, he shall transform this country, restore it, elevate it to unimaginable levels. Given an opportunity, in his speech, he affirmed that he was going to protect our Constitution jealously and guard our institution by strengthening them, the existing ones, and to make sure that we were not going to overrun them. Madam Speaker, hundreds of men and women in Kenya are suffering through the hardship, and the burden is too heavy for them to bear. Madam Speaker, as we are speaking right now, there are so many homes that are going without food. We need to work extra hard, and we go back to our basics, where farming was our backbone of this nation. Madam Speaker, provided with all the necessary equipment and produce, our country can go back to farming.
Member for Chuka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish Madam Speaker first to congratulate you for being elected as the Deputy Speaker of this House. And also as a woman being a Deputy Speaker, I think it's a good thing and shows what Kenya Kwanza really stands for. Secondly, Madam Speaker, I wish to thank the people of Chuka-Gambangombe constituency who gave me a second chance to represent them in this House. Madam Speaker, it's a constituency that is really not known to elect people for a second time, but I want to thank them because they made sure that I came back to this House again. Madam Speaker, I wish to say the following. One, I come from a constituency, Madam Speaker, that has so many stored projects. Everybody in this House knows what happened during the last campaigns, that those who didn't support the government, their projects were sabotaged by the previous government. Madam Speaker, we have a county assembly, a county headquarters in Tharaka Nithi that has no access road at all. The road was given a contractor, but because we, the people of Tharaka Nithi, decided to unanimously support the Deputy President then, who is the President now, the project was sabotaged. We worked again, we got contractors who have never reported to site up to now. So we have a county headquarters which we can say is non-existent. Madam Speaker, the county headquarters lies in my constituency. I think it's the only county headquarters in this country that has no court, no Huduma Center, and no facilities at all, just because we were punished for supporting the Kenya Kwanza government. But I wish to thank the President, William Ruto, because he recognized all that pain and has finally rewarded Tharaka Nithi with a cabinet secretary. And I wish to tell this house that Tharaka Nithi is the only county in this country, I think, that has had no cabinet secretary since independence. So Kithure Kindiki is the first cabinet secretary in Tharaka Nithi. Madam Speaker, being a health professional, I was so happy when the president talked about UHC, because I can tell this house, we might discuss airports, we might discuss loans, but the people of this country, their greatest burden is on the health sector. I happened to be in the last parliament, and we traveled to Cuba to benchmark on the Cuban health system. And I want to tell this house, when I landed in Cuba, I wondered what we are doing there. No big hospitals, no equipment, but it's only how they have organized their health care. So when the president talked about primary health care, preventive health care, promotive health care, I felt so good, because what happens in this country, we treat our people when they are too sick. We normally talk theoretically that be visiting a doctor for checkup. How many Kenyans can be able to afford a checkup? And when I went to Cuba, Madam Speaker, we were with other members of parliament, we found a very well-organized health system. We are in every village, for example, a location, we have a doctor, we have a clinic officer, and a nurse who go house to house, checking on the people. That makes sure that their people don't get extremely sick before they go to hospital. I really wish that would be the meaning of primary health care in this country. Madam Speaker, I come from Tharaka Nithi, and we have a bridge called Nithi. The president in his last visit promised that he will work with the Nithi bridge. It has been a killer bridge in this country. It's not only the people of Tharaka Nithi who die along this bridge, so it's really an issue that we, the people of Tharaka Nithi, would wish the president to work on. And finally, Madam Speaker, we know our president is so passionate about agriculture. Until people can feed themselves, they remain slaves. Madam Speaker, Kenya, the backbone of this country is agriculture. Today, Madam Speaker, coffee farmers in Mount Kenya, tea farmers in Mount Kenya, milk farmers in Mount Kenya have been made paupers by cartels. And when I talk about cartels, I don't forget the milk sector, which has the largest cartel, and we know from which quarters. And finally, Madam Speaker, I wish to say that today the president mentioned border. I wish we can remove the high taxes we have placed on border so that our young people can afford at least to buy borders for themselves. Because most of them are now employed by rich people who are able to buy borders at that expensive price. And finally, Madam Speaker, I was in my constituency yesterday. Half of the students are at home.
Member for Bomet County, aka Toto. Honorable member, unless you press the intervention button, I won't be able to see you. Member for Bomet County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to thank our Almighty Father for being with us all. Secondly, I want to congratulate you on your election as the Deputy Speaker. I also want to congratulate our Speaker, Wetangula, for being elected as the Speaker of this Parliament. Thirdly, I want to congratulate the people of Bomet for actually believing in me, for voting me in, and for their prayers. Madam Speaker, as you understand, I just graduated and come to fight for this particular seat. For the very many people of Bomet who assisted me, allow me to mention one person by the name Gideon Cheruyot. When I declared about my ambition, he came to my home. He asked me whether I was serious about the ambition, and he decided to assist me with this border. He used to be fueling, using his own money, taking me to the field from morning and take me back to the evening. Gideon, wherever you are, may God bless you. You really impacted on my campaigns, and very many people of Bomet who print for me posters, who prayed for me, who supported me financially, and finally voted me in. Thank you for believing in me despite my age and status. I want to affirm to you that we shall work together. I won't let you down. I'm here in 13th Parliament to represent your interest. Thank you, Madam Speaker, sir. I also want to congratulate the people of Kenya for voting in our President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto. I know with this new government, we shall be able to assist very many Kenyans. I also want to congratulate him for introducing the Hustler Nation. I know in this 13th Parliament, we have very many hustlers, and in that regard, it is the hope of very many people that everything is possible. I'm also very happy to stand in this particular house as the youngest parliamentarian in this country. Madam Speaker, sir, I never take that one for granted. Following the presidential speech, he has talked of agriculture. That I want to say, I know he's going to improve on that sector, and our people, especially in my county, that is Bomet, they will be able to enhance the income and also the food production activity, Madam Speaker. There is also this issue of Hustler Fund, the 50 billion to each financial year. I know very many hustlers will be able to be in a better position. We have the ORCAs, we have the micro and small and medium, that they will be able to enhance their business enterprises. With those few remarks, Madam Speaker, thank you, and may God bless us all. Asante.
Member from Madira.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I must thank you for giving me this opportunity to make my first speech in this House. And secondly, Madam Speaker, I must congratulate you for having been elected as the Deputy Speaker of the 13th Assembly. Madam Speaker, my name is Eric Wamumbi, the member for Mathira, and my election, Madam Speaker, was a miracle. I was not prepared for this until the former member of Parliament for Mathira was elevated to become the second Deputy President of this Republic. And that's how my election came by. And for that reason, Madam Speaker, I must thank the people of Mathira for having trust in me, for believing in me, and for electing me to represent them in this August House, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would not forget to thank my mentor, my friend, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, who held my hand, who believed in me, who believed in a young leader. And I was agitated, Madam Speaker, when I had the nominated member, Honorable Bandi, and he was saying that the Deputy President has been saying that it is their time to eat. Madam Speaker, I would want to tell Honorable Bandi that His Excellency, the Deputy President, is not a petty man. He is not, he is consistent and he means what he says. He said that that the government, which is led by the President William Ruto and the Deputy, is going to work for all the people of this country, both those who voted for them and those who did not vote for them, Madam Speaker. Finally, Madam Speaker, the two things that I took time in the President's speech, one is the Hustlers Fund, Madam Speaker, and we have so many young people who are languishing in poverty, and some of them end up going to seek employment from foreign countries and they are being tortured from those countries, Madam Speaker. When that credit is availed, we are going to make sure that young men and women of this country engage in business and they are no longer going to seek employment from countries that are torturing them, Madam Speaker. And finally, agriculture. And I'm happy that President has committed to revive irrigation-fed agriculture as compared to rain-fed agriculture. It is only through business and agriculture that we are going to revive the economy of this country, Madam Speaker. And we have seen the President and Deputy, they have already started issue or distribution of fertilizers to enable farmers to engage in farming. And secondly, the most important thing they are going to do is to revive irrigation-fed agriculture so that our people can engage in farming, so that coffee farmer that milk farmer, that tea farmer, when they are on their farm tilling, they know that their returns they are going to get after the end of season. And with those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I thank you. God bless us all, and God bless Kenya.
Honorable members, having completed the 4 days of debate of the address of His Excellency the President, I now call upon the mover to reply.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me take this opportunity to thank all the members, close to 133 members, Honorable Speaker, who have contributed to this debate. And that, Honorable Speaker, tells you is about a third of the members who sit in this chamber. Honorable Speaker, this huge number of people who have contributed, Honorable Speaker, if I may beg the members who are preparing to exit, we will donate a few minutes to a few, so I don't intend to take a lot of time to be able to donate a few minutes towards the end. I was saying, Honorable Speaker, it's evident, Honorable Speaker, that many of the members in this House do support the policies that were espoused by His Excellency the President, and indeed the legislative agenda that His Excellency the President and the government of the Republic of Kenya will be bringing forth to this House, Honorable Speaker. And I must indeed be very thankful to all the members. Honorable Speaker, there are many pertinent issues that have been raised by members in their address to the House in regard to this speech, Honorable Speaker, touching on policies, on issues touching on stalled projects that are all over the country, the state of our economy, Honorable Speaker, certain counties and parts of our constituencies that are being ravaged by the ongoing drought, Honorable Speaker. And indeed, Honorable Speaker, even the level of healthcare and the state of healthcare in the country. And more so, Honorable Speaker, I also have had a number of members in their contributions touch on the CBC education system. And as members are aware, there's already a working party that His Excellency the President has set in place under the Ministry of Education to look into the CBC curriculum. Honorable Speaker, His Excellency in his address also did challenge this House to amend our standing orders to enable cabinet secretaries to come and espouse on government policy and tell this House what they are doing in government, what policies they are pushing through, to answer questions and respond to statements from members of Parliament on behalf of their constituents. And Honorable Speaker, I think this is a very good step. Those who served with us in the 11th and 12th Parliament, you remember, chairs of committees have had a difficult time trying to explain government policy, to answer questions on behalf of government. But you now, as the people's representatives, have an opportunity to question cabinet secretaries on their work in government and indeed hold them to account. And that tells you the level, the thinking of His Excellency the President, that he indeed wants to run an open, transparent, and accountable government. And I indeed want to challenge members that when the time comes, as soon as we set up the committees on House procedures should quickly be able to review our standing orders and allow cabinet secretaries to come and answer our questions here. And that we will be able to hold to account our cabinet secretaries and make sure that the government of Kenya is delivering on its mandate to the people of Kenya as was promised during the campaign. Honorable Speaker, we also have an obligation as members of Parliament, and I did say in my contribution to this speech, Honorable Speaker, that the agenda that His Excellency the President espoused through the policies and legislative proposals that you'll be bringing are not for Kenya Kwanza, they are not for William Ruto. These are policies and an agenda for the people of Kenya and for the Republic of Kenya. And we all represent people from across the country. I would therefore beg honorable members to support the legislative agendas as they are rolled out, Honorable Speaker, because they will go towards improving the lot of our people, improving on our economy that is quite dilapidated, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, I also did hear quite a few members speak on the issue of corruption. And it is fashionable, Honorable Speaker, to speak about corruption. But it is
better not to speak about corruption, but to act on issues to do with corruption. And I did say in my contribution, Honorable Speaker, the president that I know, the president who is serving this country today, is a man who will not only speak, he may even fail to speak, but he will act. He's a man of action, and indeed you will bear witness that the first few things that he has done through executive orders have gone towards acting in ensuring that we resource our institutions and institutionalize the fight against corruption, Honorable Speaker, so that our institutions are able to fight corruption, so that we don't end up just speaking about corruption and doing nothing in actual sense. Honorable Speaker, with those very many remarks, I now beg to reply. And as I do that, Honorable Speaker, let me donate 1 minute to the Honorable Harry Kombe, the Honorable Mary Amase, the Honorable Taitumu, and representing independence, the Honorable Kitialai. One must be half a minute.
Kikuyu, leader of majority, you have already completed the reply, so you cannot donate the time. Should have done that before.
Oh, before I replied? Yes. Honorable Speaker, may I then continue? I thought...
we actually have less than 4 minutes to...
So would I, Honorable Speaker, with your indulgence, maybe donate to Honorable Harry Kombe and Honorable Kitialai and Mary Amase, 1 minute. Then I reply, if I can take back my reply.
Asante, Mheshimiwa Spika. Asante ndugu Ichung'wah. Nichukue nafasi hii kwa kifupi niwashukuru watu wa Magarini, na nichukue nafasi hii nimpongeze Rais kwa kuchaguliwa kuongoza Jamhuri ya Kenya, na pia vile vile nigusie machache yale aliyoyazungumzia. Kwanza nizungumzie zile hela za wachochole, yani Hustlers Fund. Ikiwa hiyo itapatikana na ikaweze kuwekwa kwa njia ya uadilifu, hakika itawasaidia vijana, kina mama na wale wasiojiweza kuweza kujiendeleza. Pia vile vile swala hili la National Government Constituency Development Fund tuweze kuliangazia katika katiba haraka iwezekanavyo, ili kwamba watoto wetu wasibaki majumbani. Wengi saa hizi wako majumbani kwa sababu
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the Majority Leader for giving me this 1 minute. And I'm going to take this 1 minute first and foremost just to give honor and glory to God for having found favor in me to represent the people of Teso South for another term after having served in the 11th Parliament. And because I know I have only 1 minute, I'm going to take this opportunity to appreciate the people of Teso South and say thank you so much for trusting and believing in me and giving me another time to serve you. I want to promise you that I'm going to work and I will serve you diligently without discrimination for those who voted for me and those who did not vote for me. I want to assure you that my commitment is to serve you, the people of Teso South. Thank you so much, and thank you, Majority, for giving me this opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. That I gave them. The other thing that I would like to say is that Igembe is a unique constituency. It is partially engulfed by Isiolo, and currently most of the population is highly ravaged by the famine, and we
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And first of all, I'd like to congratulate you for being elected the Deputy Speaker. I also like to thank the majority for giving me this opportunity. First of all, I want to, Madam Speaker, I want sincerely to appreciate and salute the people of Narok South constituency for electing me as a member of parliament. Without any doubt, I want to promise the good people of Narok South that I shall work hard to fulfill pledges that I made during the campaign period so that we can deal with the real issues and historical issues that affected our people over the years. Madam Speaker, like other parts of this republic, Narok South constituency has gotten its shares of challenges.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for your indulgence, and I now beg to reply.
That the thanks of the House be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in the address of the President delivered on Thursday, September 29th, the year 2022. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Those with the contrary opinion say nay? Aye. The ayes have it. Honorable members, and the time being 8 p.m., this House stands adjourned until Wednesday, the 12th October, 2022 at 9:30 a.m.
He was doing them to the church, and in some churches he had to carry me with him. In Herega, he used to say, if you don't go, we don't go with you. The women will not buy the magada. So we have to go. So we have to leave Nairobi and all those journeys. I thank God because he served the living God. And he was such a loving husband, such a loving father, that my children cannot say a day they were pinched or beaten by the father. It is me who was doing the business. He could tell me, Mommy, this one did this Mommy did. Can't you punish him, pinch him? He would, but for he will not touch. He will not touch any of them. He was a lover. And he had special love for kids. Special love. I was asking him, were you born alone? That you love children? We went to Australia and he started praying with the kids. Then the mothers looked at him. Yes, strangely. Then the daughter told him that here in Australia, it's not like that. They would think that you are playing with the children, then you be a child thief. So he loved the children, he had that special love for kids, special love for children, such that even when he is sick, he sees a child, he would always wave. So that love has been there, and I would say he was a lover. He loved his family, he loved his relatives, and he is a lover even to other people. He had special love. So I would say, may God rest his soul in eternal peace. Thank you.
We thank God's grace that Mom has been very strong, and nobody else would have done it the way she has done it. Let us appreciate her once more. I have known that she was not just a teacher, but a caring, loving wife who was also an nurse. And finally, you've heard she did first aid and she did a lot of tests. Thank you very much. And also, she would go to the market. Thank you, thank you. I want to invite